Hey guys, welcome back to Adventure Camping. Tactical Nut here, and while I've been out here in Uwharrie National Forest doing some shooting, some gun testing, also wanted to do some knife testing, and of course I need to start with my favorite knife, the Mykel Hawke Hellion 2020. I did a tabletop review on this a few weeks ago, maybe a month, but I really don't think it does it justice to talk about it. I think you really need to see it in action. It's made, made out of a 5160 high carbon spring steel, and I mean, I thrash on this thing endlessly, abuse it, and it just keeps taking it. I mean, I can't tell you how impressed I am with this knife. And being out here in Uwharrie, as I've shown in kind of in past videos, with all the storms that happened here before, I got plenty of material to choose from in which to test out this knife and others. So let me get repositioned and the camera reset up and show you how it works. Alright guys, one of the things about this knife that I really like about it, it is a real chopper. I'm going to test it out on this branch right here, but before I start on some other tasks, but let me just tell you, I guarantee it's just going to fly through this thing. Most knives that I have, I don't chop with because weight does have a huge effect on a knife's ability to chop. This is a bit heavy for a knife, but that's what helps it lend well to chopping. So let's get to work here, see how it does. See how much I trust this steel. It's already chopped through a good amount of that branch. Now it's just getting a little springy. Try it the other way. Wow. There you go. As you can see, I had no problem taking this knife, twisting it in this 3/16 of an inch thick. So that really helps with all kinds of prying, limbing trees. As you can see, it was pretty fast. Watch from the middle here. A little more chopping. Let's see if I can brace it good enough. Takes care of branches pretty easy. Alright, so I think you get the idea of its chopping ability. Seems to go pretty well. It does have a sawback. Not typically a big fan of sawback knives, but I guess in a survival situation, if you really needed one, there you go, you got one. So let me just make sure. Camera here. What I'm doing. Alright, I'm sawing this just to give you a good idea. I mean, if I had to, my life depended on sawing something in half, it would take a while, but this would be able to do it. But I would use this more for notching and stuff like that. So let's just show how it does. See, I'll zoom in on this in a second. Well, let me just make it up closer, make that easier. Well, you can see how far it's gone into that. Didn't take very long. I mean, you got to put a little bit of effort into it, but as you can see, it goes right through it without a whole lot of problems. Here, I'll just stick this in. The rest of the way gone. Alright, now with these tanto points, which I really like, I know some people aren't so big on a tanto point design. I really like it because it lends itself for a really strong tip. This one does have a blade, let me go on the camera, blade right across here. It's meant to be your backup blade, but you can see, and there's grip on this thing with these. It's called a linen micarta handles. Let me get you on camera here. I mean, very grippy. When it gets wet, it almost gets stickier, which is really nice. But as you can see, kind of hard to tell with my sunglasses on. I mean, it just really, that finger groove right here, really just locks right in. So just a reverse grip. I mean, not bad, right? You got your hammer here, which I've used a lot of. I mean, it holds up to a lot. I don't have any nails or anything to drive home with it, but I'll tell you what, it's come in handy around the house, that's for sure. Now let me. Oops. Oh. Sorry about that, guys. I wasn't watching this camera. Alright. Now, actually, let me change the camera angle here. Alright, sorry about the camera fail, guys. Wasn't watching what I was doing when I was moving the branches around, knocked it over. But let's just show you now with more of the fine task that the Mykel Hawke Hellion can do. You need to simply just chop smaller pieces of stick, no problem. position here to hold this down. So you can see. You can still do feather sticks with it. And as you can see, that I can do some pretty fine shaving up here. You can see. You can do the feather sticks, you know. It's going to do the rest of it pretty well too. Take your time, looks a little better, but yeah, this close part of the blade, as you can see, great feather sticks. If I had to, you can see, if I want to do like some kind of a spear point, don't have any trouble doing that. You see, it's getting there pretty good. And then, as he talks about this 17-degree angle on the blade being so good for chopping, but it also leaves a little area right in here that can work really well for notching. And as you can see, also helps create spear point a little better. I haven't sharpened this one time since I got it. Could probably use it again. It's not as giving an accurate depiction of the blade sharpness, but you can tell. I mean, even with the feather sticks, like I said, I've only sharpened it one time. That's pretty awesome. That's pretty good edge retention that you can get out of a knife. I don't think I've had any other ones that have lasted that long without being able to get a good sharpening on. Very impressive knife, though. I mean, I do a ton of chopping with this thing. I think I chop more with this knife than I do anything else, because it's just fun. And I'm going to use the backup blade. I don't think I've ever sharpened this. I haven't used it as much, but if I was going to try to make a spear tip out of it. It doesn't seem to be as sharp, but you know what? I also beat the mess out of it when I'm batoning, which probably has a lot to do with it. As you can see, still chop with it, no problem there. Let me get reset up and then I'll do some batoning with it so you can see how that goes. I think you can probably get a pretty good idea of how it will do already just by how it performs, but I'm sure you also like to see it firsthand. Get back to it in a second. Alright guys, we're going to do some batoning now. I caught myself laughing a little bit because as I was hacking up this tree. Alright, let's try this again, guys. Battery died while I was talking there a minute ago. So as I was saying, I was cutting this log apart to get a good batoning stick. was slicing through it like butter, and I realized, man, they're filming this. But, oh well. What's done is done. So now, we're going to do some batoning with the Mykel Hawke. Show you how this gets done. Sure. Looking at here. Stop shaking. Alright. You can see, you can just pound on this knife to death. Now the only problem with this knife design is that, as you can see, the sawback is tearing up the batoning stick. Now, in a survival situation, honestly, no big deal. Because if you're out here, a place like this, definitely, you got plenty of wood sources. Ooh. I think you get a pretty good idea of the capabilities of this knife. I've absolutely loved it. And I mean, I abuse this thing to no end. Sometimes, I won't say in a desire or attempt to break it, but I like pushing the limits of it, that's for sure, because I definitely haven't found its limitation yet, as far as, oops, angle here, of what it can't do. Oops. Now, I think you can tell if this was steady or on the ground, it'd be going through it pretty easily. Get another option here. See if this will work. Let's see what's in frame here. Come up just a little bit higher. And what I'm going to do is start batoning down this stick. Show you how it splits. Aim is good. And back up here, hopefully you can still see how it's making it through. And look at the job it's doing on that. Oops, maybe a little too far. I think you can tell they did get out of frame there, but you can see the job that this thing is doing on this limb. And yes, there was a nice curve here, went right through there, kind of like butter. So Well, get the rest of the way through this bad boy. Alright, so I think we can say splitting is definitely among the capabilities of this knife. Actually, not long ago it was snowing, and I even used this to split the firewood for the house. So, I think you get the idea. Splitting, it does incredible at. Batoning ain't gonna hurt this thing. And even going through this gnarly part of a branch. So, hope this has been helpful for you. Possibly even maybe influence you to try to find one of these. Like I said, I saw on Mykel Hawke's website where Tops isn't going to be making this anymore, and I don't know if he's going to find a new manufacturer, but I know he's got a lot of new products and stuff coming out, so I don't know if that's going to be on there or not, but either way, they still can be found, and highly worth the money. So, as always, be prepared, have fun.